PageTunes read. From the pages of PageTunes magazine, monthly number 3, March 2024. Story and artwork by Michael Zeigerlig. The Court of Edinburgh. Within the halls of the Edinburgh courthouse, Clive MacKenzie cut a figure of formidable presence. His sharp attire bespoke his confidence, every step echoing with the assurance of a man who knew his place in the world. As a defense lawyer, Clive had honed his craft to a razor's edge, navigating the murky waters of the legal system with an expertise that bordered on the uncanny. But Clive's allegiance lay not with justice, but with the highest bidder, and more often than not, that bidder came in the form of organized crime. With a practiced ease, Clive defended the most heinous of criminals, his pockets lined with the blood money of those whose sins he absolved in the eyes of the law. Gruesome murders, unspeakable atrocities to Clive, they were nothing more than opportunities to further his own wealth and prestige. The courtroom became his stage, and with each impassioned plea, he wove a web of deceit so intricate that even the most astute of jurors found themselves ensnared. For Clive, there was no room for conscience in the pursuit of success. His moral compass had long since been discarded, buried beneath layers of ambition and greed. And as he reveled in the spoils of his ill-gotten gains, he remained blissfully unaware of the darkness that loomed on the horizon, waiting to engulf him in its shadow. The echoes of Clive's triumph in the courtroom reverberated through the city, his latest victory splashed across the headlines of every newspaper. Laramie Brent, the infamous crime lord, had stood trial, and Clive had once again emerged victorious, his reputation as the master of the legal battlefield solidified. But amidst the celebrations, a shadow crept into Clive's world, a harbinger of the strange and unsettling events that were soon to unfold. As he made his way home, leaving the courthouse, a sense of unease gnawed at the edges of his consciousness like a whisper in the dark. It was then that he encountered the pedestrian, a figure so unassuming, yet so eerily familiar. Despite his efforts, he couldn't quite place the face, though it stirred a sense of recognition within him. The man's words cut through the cacophony of the city, his voice carrying a weight that belied his unassuming appearance. "This is your last chance to make things right and cleanse your soul." Annoyed and angered by the intrusion, Clive called for court security, intent on ridding himself of this unwelcome presence. But as the officers turned their attention to him, the mysterious man had vanished, leaving Clive alone with his thoughts and the unsettling feeling that something had shifted in the fabric of his reality. In the days that followed, Clive found himself ensnared in a web of surreal encounters that seemed to blur the line between reality and nightmare. Everywhere he turned, strangers with hauntingly familiar faces accosted him with the same ominous message, their words echoing like a relentless refrain in his mind. It was as if they materialized out of thin air, only to vanish just as mysteriously when confronted, and none of the other people around them seemed to notice. At the train station, amidst the hustle and bustle of commuters rushing to and from places, a young woman stepped out of the crowd, her features mirroring those of someone forgotten, yet unmistakably familiar. "This is your last chance to make things right and cleanse your soul," she said, her voice carrying an otherworldly weight. In the quiet solitude of a cafe, as Clive sought refuge in the warmth of a cup of coffee, a middle-aged man approached him, his face a haunting echo of someone he couldn't quite place. "Make things right, Clive. Cleanse your soul," he uttered, his words a chilling reminder of the specter that now loomed over his every waking moment. Even within the confines of his own home, Clive found no respite from the relentless onslaught. Each knock at the door brought with it a sense of dread, as he braced himself for yet another encounter with a stranger whose face seemed to blur with the memories of his past. The weight of Clive's mounting paranoia and the relentless pursuit of these strangers drove him to seek the protection of the authorities. With a sense of urgency gnawing at his insides, he enlisted the help of 2 police officers to accompany him on his nightly journey home. As they traversed the familiar streets of Edinburgh, Clive's nerves were stretched taut, every shadow seeming to conceal a lurking threat. Then, as if summoned by some unseen force, the group of spectral figures materialized from the darkness, their voices rising in a haunting chorus of accusation. "Make things right, Clive! Cleanse your soul!" they chanted, their words a relentless assault on his senses. Apparently the policeman could see them as well, which gave him a bit of a sense of sanity, but it would not last for long as they sprang into action, their training kicking in as they attempted to detain the ethereal intruders. But to their astonishment, their efforts proved futile. The figures slipped through their grasp like wisps of smoke, their forms flickering and fading with each passing moment. In the midst of the chaos, one of the officers froze, a look of recognition dawning on his face. I know you," he stammered, his voice trembling with disbelief. "This is Gregory Sinclair. He was a murder victim of the Brent gang." The revelation sent a shockwave through Clive's consciousness, the pieces of the puzzle suddenly falling into place with a sickening clarity. The faces of the spectral strangers, once shrouded in mystery, now bore the unmistakable imprint of the lives he had helped to destroy. As the officers exchanged a knowing glance, the truth of Clive's complicity in their demise hung heavy in the air, casting a pall over the night that stretched out before them. And in that moment, Clive knew that he could no longer outrun the consequences of his actions. For the ghosts of his past had come to collect their due. The words of the spectral figures echoed through the night, their voices melding into a chilling chorus that reverberated in Clive's ears. "Making things right, Clive. Cleanse your soul," they intoned, their words a relentless reminder of the sins that he could no longer escape. With a jolt of realization, Clive's mind snapped into focus, the memories flooding back with a force that left him reeling. The faces of the ghostly apparitions, once obscured by the fog of his denial, now emerged with startling clarity, each one a haunting testament to the lives he had failed to save. They were the victims, the innocent souls who had fallen prey to the machinations of the criminals he had once defended in court. And in that moment of reckoning, Clive understood the true extent of his complicity in their suffering. As the 2 officers, overwhelmed by fear and disbelief, turned and fled into the night, the spectral figures turned their gaze upon Clive, their eyes burning with an otherworldly intensity. With a sinking heart, he fell to his knees, his voice trembling with desperation as he begged for forgiveness. As Clive knelt before the ghostly figures, begging for forgiveness, their faces began to take shape in his mind. Elijah Bruce, 37, a baker who had dared to revolt against a protection money scheme. Elizabeth Harris, 23, a stripper in one of the shady clubs run by organized crime. The memories of their tragic ends flooded back to him with each haunting visage. Alongside Elijah and Elizabeth stood Sarah Martinez, 45, a single mother who had been caught in the crossfire of a gang feud. William Thompson, 50, a small business owner who had refused to comply with the demands of a ruthless loan shark. With each name spoken in his mind, Clive felt the weight of his past transgressions pressing down upon him. He had been blind to the suffering of these innocent souls, too consumed by ambition and greed to see the harm he had caused. As the ghosts closed in around him, their eyes filled with an otherworldly intensity, Clive knew that redemption would not come easily. "We will forgive," they replied, their voices a hollow echo in the darkness, "but only at a price." Months passed in the wake of the harrowing encounter that had shaken Clive to his core. Where once there had been darkness, now there was light. With each passing day, Clive's reputation as a champion of justice grew, his name whispered in awe and reverence by those who had once scorned him. He became a figure of legend, his bravery and unwavering commitment to the law a source of inspiration to all who crossed his path. But it was not just Clive's newfound fame that set him apart. It was the surreal frequency with which he emerged victorious in the courtroom, as if he possessed a power beyond mortal comprehension. His cases piled high, each one a testament to his mastery of the legal arts. Since the trial against Laramie Brent, Clive had dedicated himself to a new purpose, one that transcended the pursuit of wealth and prestige. His focus shifted towards those who wielded power unjustly, his cases a relentless crusade against the tyranny that threatened to engulf the innocent. For in the heart of every darkness there lay the promise of redemption, and Clive MacKenzie would stop at nothing to bring justice to those who had been wronged. As night fell over the city, casting long shadows across the streets of Edinburgh, Clive MacKenzie retreated to the sanctuary of his office. Surrounded by towering stacks of case files and legal documents, he delved into the intricate web of evidence and testimony with a single-minded determination. But Clive was not alone in his pursuit. Gathered around him were his faithful companions, a group of spectral figures whose faces bore the haunting imprint of the lives they had once lived. Together, they sifted through the details of each case, their voices blending into a chorus of solidarity and determination. In the glow of lamplight, they worked tirelessly, their shared purpose binding them together in a common cause. As they pored over the evidence, Clive couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude towards his supernatural allies. They were more than just assistants. They were fighters for the victims of crime and evil, their presence a constant reminder of the debt he owed to those he had failed to save. Clive had made good on his promise, and now their souls stood beside him, guiding him on his quest for justice. If you've been captivated by the magic of this audiobook, here's how you can immerse yourself even further and support the creation of more enthralling tales for your enjoyment. Unlock the ultimate listening journey with a yearly subscription on PageTunes.com. No interruptions, ad-free, and exclusive access to the full library of audiobooks and ebooks. Download and enjoy captivating stories offline, anytime, anywhere. Whether through subscription or individual purchases, you play a vital role in bringing more enchanting stories to life. Explore the merch store. From cozy hoodies to stylish mugs and much more, every purchase directly contributes to crafting more thrilling tales for your pleasure. Thank you and happy listening.